Hey, what's up, y'all? Y'all good? I hope so. Y'all listen, let's continue with part 2 of chapter 3 of Faith Under Fire. And you know where we left off was the fire at Mama Mo's house and she passed away. Okay. So in the midst of everything that was happening after the fire, the wedding video had arrived, but nobody was really in the mood to watch the wedding video because, Mama Mo was gone. So eventually LaJoyce, she watched it herself. And what caught her attention were the salutations by Stephen's sisters. They were saying things like, "You just don't know. You taking a lot off our hands, child." And LaJoyce, he's your problem now. Don't send him back to our house. And Mama Mo had told Stephen, "See, Stephen, everything works itself out in the end. There was no need for all of that worrying." And she winked at him. And while watching the video, LaJoyce was thinking, now what was that all about? And she noticed during the Lord's Prayer that Mama Mo was in full worship. And that made LaJoyce think back to some of the things that Mama Mo had said in the past, like, don't wait to get married, and that she was paying for the honeymoon because you'll never ever have this chance again. That made LaJoyce wonder if Mama Mo knew what was going to happen to her. A month later, Stephen's older sister got out of the hospital and they had the memorial. A little while after that, Stephen and his sisters got a chance to sit down and discuss what happened with the property and the land. But the conversations were so heated, it had LaJoyce wondering what in the world is going on, because that reconciliation at the wedding was short-lived. Because right now, these discussions are getting heated and nasty. And it was clear to LaJoyce that the three of them would never be on the same page again. And it was shocking to LaJoyce to see how hateful they were being to each other. So she called her brother and was like, "Look, we're going to make a promise that when Mom passed away, we're not going to be acting like this." LaJoyce let them know that, look, y'all got too much to take care of right now. So y'all had to put all that mess on the back burner and handle the business. 3 months later, they were able to tear down the house, sell the land, and collect on the insurance policy. And that created a nice sum of money for the three of them to split. So once everybody got their money, the first thing Stephen did was he went to a travel agency. LaJoyce knew he wanted to go to the Caribbean, so she only focused on those brochures. But Stephen asked her, "What's that upscale place that y'all go to when you do your live broadcast sometimes?" And she was like, "The Grand Lido? That place is extremely expensive." Stephen ignored the expensive part and told the travel agent, "The Grand Lido in Negro, please." LaJoyce said that by the time they left the travel agency, Stephen had booked first-class trips to Negro's Grand Lido, a Mexican Caribbean cruise, Charlotte, Los Angeles, Virginia Beach, and Atlanta. He paid $20,000 for all of that. LaJoyce was flabbergasted. The agent wanted to know, what's the occasion? It had to be something big for him to come in there spending that kind of money. Stephen said that his mother had just passed away and that he deserved happiness. LaJoyce was worried about all the time off that she would be taking because her being a writer, they just can't call in a temp agency and get somebody to sit in for her. Stephen told her that she could take off without pay. He would take care of it. He even told her that she didn't even have to work because she was a wife now, not some industry hustler. When he called LaJoyce an industry hustler, she got angry and told him to never say that to her again because she worked hard to get to where she was in the entertainment industry. Stephen told her that he got it like that now with the money and all, and that his mother wanted him to be happy with LaJoyce and that they weren't going to get that opportunity again. So the case was closed. LaJoyce was like, she heard all that, but all that money could have been a down payment on their house. A month later, the broadcasting unit that LaJoyce worked for was moving to Pittsburgh. Stephen was elated. He was so happy that LaJoyce didn't have a job. LaJoyce decided to step out on faith and start her own business. So Stephen went out and he bought her everything she would need for a home office. One of LaJoyce's largest clients was the New York Urban League. They hired LaJoyce and her team of 4 to handle their annual youth football classic at Giant Stadium. Her team put in a lot of work for that event, And LaJoyce told Stephen that she would need to be at the stadium very early on the day of the Classic. So the day arrived and LaJoyce asked Stephen if he was going to take her to the stadium because she had to be there like 90 minutes. He said, I'm not taking you. I'm not taking you nowhere. As far as I'm concerned, you've done enough for that event, but you haven't been doing your wifely duties around here. So he went and got a hammer, nails, and some pictures because he wanted them to hang the pictures together. LaJoyce told him that she didn't have time for that right now, but she would do it later. Stephen wouldn't drop her off, so she called a former co-worker who was also her teammate to pick her up. She left a ticket for Stephen to get into the stadium, and then she headed to the stadium with Mikey. Listen, I would not have left Stephen nothing. He would have still been hanging them pictures by the time I got back to that house. In 1991, Stephen and LaJoyce spent most of their times traveling, and they were looking for a new city to live in. They also joined Claudette and Stacy at their family home in the Poconos. Stephen and LaJoyce loved the Poconos. Stacy told them whenever he and Claudette came down for a little vacation time, that LaJoyce and Stephen had an open invitation. One weekend while in the Poconos, Stephen decided to go out and explore the area while LaJoyce stayed back, with Claudette and Stacy. Well, Claudette and Stacy ended up getting into a heated discussion, and it was so heated that Stacy said, "Pack up everybody, I'm closing the house." LaJoyce knew that Stacy was not playing, so she didn't hesitate going and packing her and Stephen's bags, and she set them by the door. By the time Stephen made it back from sightseeing, he almost tripped over the bags at the door. And he looked at LaJoyce like, "What's going on?" She just shrugged her shoulders like, "I don't know, but we got to get up out of here." On their way out, neither LaJoyce nor Stephen wanted to go back to Brooklyn. So they decided to get a motel room and just take an adventure through the Poconos to areas, that they had never seen. They saw a lot of communities tucked away. So on Sunday, they met with a realtor who took them to see a vacant lot. The lot had a winding road and it sat on top of a mountain. When they got up there, LaJoyce and Stephen knew this ours right here. And within an hour, they had purchased and qualified for the payment plan. Now they're back in New York. LaJoyce had wrapped up her work for the rest of the year, and she was not about to just sit around at home from October to January. So she decided to get a job at Ticketmaster. It paid every week, and she just needed something to keep her busy. The only bad thing was that she found out that she was going to have to work on Christmas, and she already knew Stephen was going to be pissed. He went off for hours because they were supposed to spend Christmas with his uncle. LaJoyce told him to just go on, head on to Queens, and I'll meet you there because I'm not going to get off until 5. But Stephen didn't want to do that because he and his sisters still wasn't speaking. They ain't on good terms, remember. And to make him happy, LaJoyce used all her checks from Ticketmaster to get Stephen an expensive piece of mixing equipment to help with the production of the Quiet Storm show in Japan. And while Stephen was doing all that fussing, he didn't even realize that LaJoyce had spent all of her money on him. Well, at work on Christmas, the call volume was so low that LaJoyce felt like Ticketmaster paid more for the staff than they had earned that day. But while sitting there, LaJoyce started to think the real reason she started working for Ticketmaster must have been to meet Ruth and Clyde, because they became like Stacy and Claudette, really good friends who they could, have fun with. And she's glad they met them because Ticketmaster started laying folks off, and that included Ruthie and LaJoyce. But it worked in her favor because LaJoyce's business started to pick up, and she hired Ruthie to be her assistant. Clive, Ruthie's husband, found out that he and Stephen shared a love for the range. So one weekend, the couples went to the range to do a little practice. Ruthie, she barely hit anything, but they cheered on anyway, like, "Oh girl, you got it." LaJoyce was hitting target after target. Stephen thought it was just good luck until she kept hitting it back to back. A crowd started gathering and asked her if she was a marksman or something. She said something like that. Then she told Stephen that it was his turn, but Stephen was just sitting there looking at her like, "I might need to keep my eye on this lady." LaJoyce says that her grandmother taught her all of her marksman skills, and she felt like with a husband who makes schizophrenic behavior a regular practice, being a sure hitter was a must. After a while, LaJoyce and Stephen moved to a large duplex in Clinton Hills with the help of their friends. LaJoyce and Stephen didn't have children, but she did adopt one of her former students who would stay with them every weekend. He considered LaJoyce a mentor, and even though he was a college student, he was wise beyond his years. She also hired him to work for her company. They had a big AIDS event coming up, and since she had a top level team in place, she felt like she was good to go to California without worrying about her business. So they made it to her childhood friend's house, but Stephen wasn't feeling well, so he went to lie down. LaJoyce and her friend were like, well, let's just go to the grocery store and get some things. And she asked her, what's wrong with Stephen? LaJoyce said, I'm not sure. He came down with some type of bug. But her friend asked her again, what's wrong with him? What's wrong with Stephen? LaJoyce didn't have a clue what she was asking her. And since LaJoyce didn't answer, her friend said, I guess you'll tell me, when you're ready. And all LaJoyce could hear was TD Jakes saying, get ready, get ready, get ready. And that is the end of chapter 3. And we're going to move on to chapter 4. If y'all liking this series, let me know. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll talk to y'all later.